Hello FlossTube Stitchers, Shelly here, sitting on the other side of our fabric counter where we have a display of bushel baskets with different overdyed fabrics in them. On this side we have Fabrics by Stephanie, Dames of the Needle, Picture This Plus, the Witch Out overdyed linens and overdyed Joblins, and the Zweigart vintage line. And then behind me we have some racks of Ohio designers. What you can see here is Amy Brecken and Heart in Hand. So first I wanted to show some Stitchy kindness that I got. A good friend and customer, Debbie K, brought me this the other day. I love the combination of fabrics. She knows I love bees, and I actually love stripes, so this is perfect. She just started making bags so that she could coordinate her projects. She's also a quilter and seamstress, so I really appreciated that. She and I go back a long ways. I've known her since before she had kids, and now they're grown up. Of course, we don't look a day older, do we, Deb? But we were on a committee together, I think, working on a needlework show years ago, and that's how we met. It was probably in the store, but anyway, that's how we got to know each other. And then we were in a club together, and we stitched at each other's homes. There was a group of 12 of us. And then as life got busy and kids grew up, she stepped away from stitching for a little bit, and she's back with a vengeance. So this was kind of a combination of stitching and quilting, or sewing for her. And I said it was absolutely perfect timing because the project I'm currently working on is a bee design. This was one of my Stitch Manias, the bee from Rovaris. And I am stitching it on 32 count Belfast, the raw with the gold running through it. So that's how much I got done so far. And I'm really liking the way it's turning out. I'm using silk. Most of it is NPI, or needlepoint ink silk, but the black is Splendor because I didn't have the NPI. And what was really interesting for me was to compare and contrast the two thread companies in the same project. I've worked with silk before, but I don't think I've ever combined companies within the same project. So I found the Splendor, the black, to be a little bit, I don't want to say thicker or fuzzier, poofy is the word that comes to mind. So it had a little more volume to it, I guess, which is fine because I wanted the black to be nice and filled in and nice and bold. So the NPI comes in a skein like this. It is 8 ply and it's 5 meters to a skein. And the Splendor comes on a card and it is 12 ply and 8 yards to a skein. So I wanted to talk a little bit about silk to you if you've never tried it before. I found it easier to work with shorter lengths, about 18 inches. It tends to snag on things, so it's a really good idea to keep your project clean, and by that I mean a lot of times I leave tails. I usually have them to the front, but in any case your thread can pick up lint or get tangled with your thread, so it's a good idea to finish an area and get those ends tied off right away. It's probably also good to use grime guards if you're using a hoop or a Q-snap. I'm just going to show you the back of my other piece because the edge of a Q-snap clamp is not always super smooth, so it can get caught on that. It's good to use a new or a really good quality needle, so not the cheap ones that you get in kits that you might have left over in your pin cushion. And honestly, the most important thing is, hey, good excuse to get a manicure. Your hands need to be soft and smooth. Your cuticles need to be cut down, and there shouldn't be any rough areas. So if you can't afford a manicure, or it's not time for a manicure, you can use a sugar scrub. There's a lot of them available out there on the market, or you can make your own. Just Google sugar scrub. We actually did a Thursday technique class on making them. It just takes a few kitchen staples like raw sugar, coconut oil or olive oil, maybe some herbs, fresh herbs, or some essential oils can be added to it, but it can be kept really simple. You can make it a little bit finer for your hands and use bigger grain sugar and make it for your legs and feet. That works really nice in the shower. Anyway, that's good to have on hand. Use a Stitcher's lotion that's non-greasy. This is one that we carry that's made locally. That's one of my cross-stitch customers. But there's many of those on the market as well. Oh, you can use a laying tool. Probably would have been helpful for me to use a laying tool while using the black, because I found that at the end of even the short 18-inch length, the ends of the thread were about a ½ inch different, even though they started off perfectly the same. So I think it maybe twisted a little bit while I was working with it, and I kind of, held it up and looked at it sideways, and I don't see anything sticking up, so it's not affecting it in a negative way. But I just noticed at the end that maybe I should have been keeping track of that with a laying tool so that the strands laid, perfectly next to each other. So that's a good idea. If you want to learn more about silk, I can direct you to a couple different places. March 20th, 2017, I find it an easy way to look them up by the date of the article, needleandthread.com, or just Google Mary Corbett. But she had an article dated March 20th, Silk Hand Embroidery Thread 101, which is a very good article to read. NordicNeedle.net has a section of their website called Stitching Guides, and if you click on that, you'll find an article called Stitching with Silks, with some really good color photos of all the different brands of silk that are on the market these days. And then recently, I didn't get a chance to watch the whole thing. I kind of skimmed through it just to see what she was talking about. But Nicola Parkman of Hands Across the Sea Samplers did a video with Kathy Ray, who's the owner of Needle in a Haystack in California. It's FlossTube number 62, and it's called An In-Depth Look at Silks. So search for Hands Across the Sea and then look for FlossTube 62. She talks about a lot of fibers that are used in needlepoint as well, because her store carries both. But once you know the thickness and number of strands you need and the type, whether it's spun or filament, or even just what the different brands have to offer, you can substitute a lot of things in your stitching that you didn't know you could. Spun silk seems a lot softer than cotton, which might be why it snags easier and maybe fuzzes up a little bit easier. But it has this beautiful natural sheen that is not found in cotton. Cotton floss is mercerized, so it has like a chemically induced sheen to it. And anyway, the silk is just beautiful to work with. It's so soft and smooth. I loved every stitch of working on the bee. So I'm going to give you a chance to try silk yourself if you haven't already done so. I picked 2 colors. There are other brands of solid color silk, but these were the 2 I was working on, so I'm going to give you 2 of these. The blue I chose because I thought it would be really good for stitching water. So you can mix this in with your cotton floss, and this would be a good way to start using it if you didn't want to invest in a lot of silk for a large project. Actually, that's why I chose silk for the bee. It originally called for DMC, and I thought, well, there's only 4 or 5 colors used. I'm going to substitute that for silk. So this would be good for water, or it could be used for like a lady's dress or a house. Anyway, so you could just use this one color in your design. And then in the Splendor, I chose a medium brown color, And I thought this would be really good for all sorts of animals or even hair. So if it had a little more sheen then, or looked a little bit different than the rest of your design, it would be okay because you did it specifically to show off the animal fur or a lady's hair. So anyway, just tell me if you've had experience working with silk floss. I don't think I've asked that question before, but even if I have, go ahead and answer that, and you'll be entered in the drawing for that. While we're talking about the drawing, I'll just tell you right now, the needle identification cards from Access Commodities from last week are going to be mailed out to Sally from Thule Studios. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but anyway, Sally, congrats, and email me your physical address and I'll get those out to you. All right, that takes care of the bee. My next project that I've been working on, I'll put the board behind it so you can see it better, is Bethlehem from Little House Needleworks. This I think this was day 6 of Stitch Mania, and honestly, I could have finished this already, but to be truthful and transparent, I misplaced the skein of blue corn the very next day. I don't know where it went. I've looked through all of my 31 Stitch Mania projects. I've looked through other stitch bags and other totes that I had in my car. I looked at home, I looked on the floor. So I kind of worked around it as best I could. I did all the little things. Yes, we have blue corn in the store. Yeah, I could grab another skein. No, I'm not going to because I just started a fresh skein with this and I know it's there someplace. I've had customers and friends offer to loan me theirs. No, it's okay. I have plenty to work on. I'll just put this aside. Lesson learned, zip up your bags, close the Ziplocs, don't put it in an open shopping bag, just all the things you're not supposed to do, I did. But it seriously was misplaced the very next day. I know that for a fact. I don't have much else to show you in the way of my stitching, but I do have another very special thing that I want to show. If you follow me on Facebook, I showed it yesterday. I hope you don't mind if I show it again. But it's by the fabulous Monica, who's one of our local stitchers. I didn't try this on camera yet, so I hope you can see the whole thing. Let's see, I'll start at the top. So it's a farmer's market sign from Doris, which in our area is Pat Catan's. Okay. So this is a design from Cuore y Battacore called It's Not Halloween Without the Pumpkins. And let's see, I better put this up again. So the pumpkin sign board was not there originally. It was farther down. And there's a couple other boards. And I think one was eggs and one was corn. I can't remember what else there might have been. But of course, this is a pumpkin piece. So she had her dad, who by the way will do anything she wants framing wise. He just took the boards off and attached them where she wanted them. So she put the pumpkin at the top, and then she put the arrow at the bottom. I think the arrow was at the top before, and then she just covered up the other ones. So anyway, I thought that was a great idea to repurpose an inexpensive plaque or sign or whatever that you get at one of the big box stores. Pat Catan's is one of our local big box craft stores that's local to the Ohio, maybe Pennsylvania area. It was bought out by Michael's a few years ago and now they're closing them, but you might find the brand Doris at other stores in the future because Doris Industries is not closing. The craft stores are just closing. So anyway, keep a lookout for things like that. You might have bought it for your house to use as a sign and then you get the idea later, hey, I can attach cross stitch to that, or you can just go looking at all of the big box stores that you have in your area and look at something and say, can I put stitching on this? I have a whole collection of things that I don't know what I'm going to do with, but I keep seeing these ideas on social media. So one of these days, I'm going to have some cool finishes like that too. I think that's all I have for today. And I'm off to an outdoor concert. So that'll be a fun evening. And then I'm going to send our newsletter, hopefully. Technology works for me tonight that I get this video uploaded and get my newsletter sent. If you'd like to get our monthly email newsletter, you can just email me at just.stitching13211@gmail.com. We don't bother you too often, just the one newsletter a month for right now. And in the meantime, happy stitching. Thanks for watching. We have 825 subscribers now, so thank you for that. And I hope you have a great week. Bye.